Ladies and gentlemen, I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It is September 7th, 2022, and we are going to be asking ourselves, are the Ukrainian forces doing a little trolling? Let's break it down. Okay, so when we look at the tactical map, we see something pretty interesting today, and that, as you can see, is that the enemy has reported, this is done by a Ukrainian loyalist site, but it's still the best map consolidating all the information that I've found. The Russians have said they've lost Volochy Yar. And they're reminding us that these are posted with a delay to avoid violating Ukrainian OPSEC, which is perfectly reasonable. But when we zoom in, where is Volochy Yar? Volochy Yar. Damn it, I'm gonna get demonetized. Well, you can see it's actually all the way up in Kharkiv, right? Not what we were expecting. Volochy Yar. And you can see this little salient has actually been seized as part of a larger push in which Ukrainian forces are seizing villages all along this front line here. Now, we've talked in earlier videos about the fact that Ukrainian forces are doing a bunch of operations, making a bunch of pushes in areas where we were not expecting them. You can see here they liberated Ozerne. And what is this exactly? I thought the offensive was in Kherson, is what you're saying to me. Well, it is, probably. The reason is that the Russians, obviously, it's been no secret that Kherson and Kherson Oblast needs to be reinforced. The Russians have known this. It's pretty obvious. And they've been diverting their forces away from the Eastern Front, especially away from quieter areas like Kharkiv, to reinforce Kherson. And here's the problem. When you rob Peter to pay Paul, you open up vulnerabilities. And so I don't think these are part of a larger offensive to retake massive amounts of territory. What I think this is just a reminder to Russian forces that they cannot continue to withdraw their forces from this eastern region and northern region in order to just stack Kherson. It's keeping them honest, and it's frustrating Russian commanders who have a very limited number of units, are under tremendous pressure to achieve real concrete gains, and instead find themselves not only losing territory in the Kherson front, where they know the fighting is going to be heavy, but Ukrainian forces are taking any territory that they find that's probably been lightly defended, right? Where Russian defenders have been depleted, where the defensive positions are now very poor, where there's simply not enough enemy on the front lines to stop Ukraine advances. Do I believe these are big, huge, like battalion and brigade sized thrusts? Probably not. I suspect these are just, a company or two breaking apart the remaining Russian garrisons, seizing areas, and just reminding the Russian forces that even though the lines in Kharkiv and near Lysychansk have been stable for several weeks, they don't get to rest on their laurels. So again, if you're a Ukrainian, or if you're, a Russian commander, you might just have been trolled. Anyway, guys, the only other news updates are, of course, all about the Zaporizhzhia power plant. The IAEA, of course, is releasing a very carefully worded statement about the security at the plant that asks all relevant parties to take measures to improve the situation. But it really talks a lot for a neutral, for a document that talks about both sides' needs to take actions to intervene. They really spend a lot of time roasting the Russians for being real reckless with this power plant. But they make another interesting point here that by the IAEA recognizing that the Russians have to run the plant better, actually might make it appear that Russia is the legitimate operator of the power plant, which is, again, a sort of Putin-style trolling in his own right? Getting the IAEA to admit that, yes, Russia is technically occupying the plant and therefore is sort of responsible for running it, but it's not actually the Russians' power plant. It's the Ukrainians' power plant, and the IAEA is not here to referee a war. But nonetheless, the more documentation you have, the more official reports that say you own something, the more likely it is that you actually own it. Again, if someone else is driving your car, but you have a bill of sale and a title, it's your car. So something to think about, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this quick update. Of course, you might have noticed YouTube has started censoring combat videos a bit more strictly, and that's okay. Obviously, I still put what I can on the channel for my breakdowns, but if you want the real spicy combat leaks, the stuff that YouTube doesn't let me show, you want to become a member of the Patreon. I drop a new video where I break down usually 4 or 5 of the hottest combat videos every 2 weeks. Thanks to our Lieutenant tier patrons. You guys support this channel and make it possible. I'll see you guys in the next one.